Sports. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun and from Zoobox here. We're going to give you a little breakdown, or our not really a breakdown, I guess, just our thoughts on the last presidential debate, the second and last presidential debate. Talk about how we think it went, maybe some of the scuttle we heard while the debate was happening, and give our analysis on who won. So, Dan, we have not spoken at all. So we did not watch the debate together. We usually watch them together, but we didn't tonight. So I have no idea how Dan feels.
You're getting that deep, that real. Sorry, setting my camera.
A tastefully erotic angle. Like he's right now. He's out of the studio, undisclosed location in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought the moderator did the best. She did fantastic, comparably.
Really? You think her asking Donald Trump tons of follow-ups with like wanting specific answers and never asking Joe Biden to follow up on a single fucking thing he says?
I agree, but also at least
it was way more subversive because it makes you think like, oh, this seems more fair because she's calm, but the whole tone was calmer, right? You know.
I guess. I don't know. I thought she did better, or maybe just Trump did better tonight. So maybe it felt that way, but I think it was at least she did peg Biden on a couple questions about his relations with Hunter. She did bring up that question.
No, I think didn't Biden brought no. Well,
she did bring up something to do with.
Biden brought it up because he said, "Well, I don't want to say your friend, but he's your buddy, Giuliani." Like, because he was talking.
Yeah. I think that was a tactical error for sure.
Yeah, because it allowed Trump to talk about it. He hadn't brought it up, and he had made allusions to it. He said, "I don't know how you made your money, but you got it from somewhere." And then he moved on because he was waiting for somebody to bring it up because he was prepared for that, obviously, right?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It was pretty fucking trash. I mean, as far as Biden, I didn't think he did very good. I think he did the typical political, let's play games, let's not just beat around the bush. At least Trump held his ground. And then the most frustrating part of any of this stuff is when I'm watching it and I'm like, Joe Biden, like, why? She did at least question him on the 94 crime bill. And you're like, what about the 86-minute minimum mandatory sentencing act? That also was written by Joe Biden.
But that's what I'm saying. There's all these follow-ups, and he just kind of was able to get away with like saying nothing. He's just and Trump had to ask the questions. Like Trump himself was like, "Are we going to ask him about fracking? Are we going to ask him about the crime bill?" Like,
that was. I think him actually at the end there. I think he dropped the ball huge because he's like, "Yeah, we'll phase out oil, because of pollution."
Yeah. And Trump caught that.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh,
he's like Texas, Pennsylvania. Are you listening?"
Oklahoma. Yeah, he's like, Well, I mean, and the reason why I don't know if it's like I'm not an anti-climate change person or anything, but when it comes down to it, it's like it's just another fear. More fear, more like this, that, like the world will be. I think Biden said 8 to 10 years would be, not fixable, and
he's repeating those talking points they've been talking about since the 80s. Every 5 years they push it down another 10 years. Like, I mean, I think the thing with the climate change stuff is that we've tried things, right? Like in terms of renewable energies and solar and wind energy, but nothing has been sufficient. And instead of like kind of being like, okay, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board, you see a lot of times Democratic administrations, they just double down. Like they won't ever kind of rescind and say they were wrong and say like, oh, well, we spent a lot of money and we were wrong. And now we need to pivot. They don't do that. Like, it's weird. So it turns it into a partisan issue. It turns it into a political football, kind of like healthcare, right? Because now it's like he's going to go from Obamacare to Biden care. His account tweeted that out, like a Biden care logo.
That was the fucking plant, obviously ready to go. Like,
Oh, of course it was.
Pre-planned thing. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, Biden care. I'm like, well, when we're talking about healthcare and, management of a healthcare system, I find it to be a little disingenuous when Trump is right. Like the individual mandate was the worst thing about Obamacare. If there was one thing that was really terrible, and 74% of all people that had to pay the individual mandate made less than $50,000 a year. So you're kind of like, who did this really hurt? This didn't hurt wealthy people who could pay the mandate or who could afford the mandate.
Well, and you were de-incentivized to actually get the health care because the penalty was less than the health care. And the penalty would just come out of your taxes.
And not to mention the penalty, though, in itself it feels unconstitutional. Like to me, I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but as far as like your individual right to choose whether or not to have health care. And I mean, we see the same thing with like, car insurance. But what Obamacare did. So like right now, you and I can live in two separate states or two separate regions, and I can have USAA, right? Like I can have USAA or State Farm or Geico, and we can have them all over the country. It doesn't matter. Now, states may bring different minimums, right? For like, because they have to take crime into account in your area, and like how many times, how maybe like police enforce traffic laws may be higher in certain areas. What make, model, year your car, right? We get it. So what Obamacare did is it regionalized healthcare. So you could only get a specific healthcare for your region. So like for me, like maybe in the Southeast, we could only get USAA. And in the Northeast, we could only get Geico. And then on the West Coast, we could only get State Farm. And what that did is it allowed them to, because it was legally mandated, it was mandated that you had to have it. They could upcharge. They could charge people more, which is disgusting. So for the surprising thing for me is like, how could they make Obamacare mandate without having some sort of law if they're going to do regionalized centric or regionalized healthcare specific for those companies and not have a minimum or a maximum they can charge? Like it just didn't make sense. Like per kind of like taxes, like you have to pay this much at this income level and this much at this income level. But I mean, some people are paying $400 or $500 under Obamacare a month for a couple people. So I don't know.
No, it wasn't a good solution for the problem. It was a political solution for the party because
they shut down the government for it.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, people have a short memory I think of a lot of this stuff, and they don't really. I mean, I don't know. It's still something that they're going to be fighting today, and I think Trump, bringing up that, because he gets criticized. Well, why didn't you replace it? Like, why didn't you?
He can't. Yeah.
Why didn't you do it? Well, like, I don't understand these kind of questions because they're like, well, they're not kings. But anyways, but beyond that, it's just like getting rid of the individual mandate was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're literally just kind of pilfering poor people.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like as a person, like I used to have to pay the penalty, and it would get taken out of my taxes every year. It was like $1,200.
Yeah.
Like your first year, it's like $500, then it goes to $800, then it goes to whatever the actual penalty is. Which the last time I had to pay it because I just came like under the wire of when it was going to change. It was like the last year that it was going to be necessary, and it was like $1,200. I was like, that's so fucked up.
Well, I mean, it's basically extortion.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Because you could even argue. I mean, like even like health, the car insurance, like you even argue that's extortion.
And people have made that arguments. I mean, there is a sense with car insurance though, like if you hit somebody else's car and you don't have insurance, that there is some sort of liability and personal responsibility that you have because your insurance company is going to help you pay for the damage of somebody else's car.
Well, wouldn't you think that the health insurance companies though would benefit from having more people paying less, but still getting more people in their net positive as far as like
that's what you
membership?
you would think that it would kind of even out, but the reality is that like there is a business aspect to medicine. There's a business aspect to healthcare. And, insurance works on the concept that, more people pay in than use it. So what happens when you have 300 million people with healthcare? Then what happens? I don't know the answer to this, but this is something I've thought about. But not being an expert in this field, I don't know. But beyond that.
Well, I think the argument that they're advocating, like, okay, so he's admitting that there was some things that need to be changed with Obamacare.
He said that during the primaries.
Yeah.
I mean, like everybody except Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar basically and Pete Buttigieg basically ran against Biden-care. Or not Biden-care, sorry. I've already been brainwashed. Obamacare. Mm-hmm. They all had to run against it because from the progressive perspective, Obamacare is a disaster. And a lot of the reason it is a disaster is the individual mandate and what that actually does to poor people that can't afford to actually get the health care and still are forced to pay.
I just can't believe they pushed that through. It doesn't even make any logical sense.
Because it was just a political thing, dude. Like, it became just a political football.
Yeah, but why would you even add the individual mandate, political football or not?
Because everybody has to do it for it to work. That's how they feel. Because when you're going to have that many extra people on insurance, you have to have more people paying into it.
I guess
if that means you actually pay and get the healthcare, or you pay the penalty. That's why like, Republicans always make the argument, oh, it's like a form of socialized medicine. Because in some sense it is, because the government is mandating that you buy into something, whether you actually are buying into it or not, because it's about the collective good, right? So I don't know. I mean, the prices for Obamacare, like, just for people to have it, like the shitty version was a lot of money. Like, it wasn't. It's not some sort of cheap thing you can just fucking.
I don't know if there was different levels to it. I have no idea.
I mean, most people get healthcare, especially when you're like, lower class or lower middle class. I mean, a lot of it is subsidized by whatever company they work for. Mm-hmm. So you pay, $90 to $100 a month for your healthcare, and the company actually eats the rest of it, which is usually like anywhere from like $75 to $100. That's like one of the benefits for working for a company that provides healthcare. Doesn't mean it's good healthcare, mind you, but that's part of it.
Yeah, but what is good healthcare, I guess? I mean, like, I guess it kind of comes down to what is good healthcare. Good healthcare, to me, if we're going to do some sort of public, quote unquote, public option, what does it require? And what is it asking? Because, like, honestly, when you come down to basic maintenance of a human body, checking for cancer and blood pressure and getting your blood tested, most of those things, I'm not saying, I mean, I feel like they're relatively inexpensive, and what we're talking about is collateral or like serious stuff, like, when you do get cancer. But if we do the pre-screening stuff and make that stuff more affordable and cheaper, because that's kind of what your healthcare will cover on most things, right?
Well, I guess it probably has to come down to a combination of technology and government regulation. I mean, if you would just allow tech companies and people in the bio industry to, I guess, maybe charge the amounts that they charge, whether or in the pharmaceutical companies, which is something that is actually Trump is also kind of in the middle of a fight with, lowering drug prices and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these things are astronomical.
Yeah.
It's weird that we have astronomical pricing in the United States, but you could go to like Mexico and get the same thing just far cheaper
for a tenth of the price.
So there's obviously something wrong. That's a disparity that needs to be addressed. And I think, America being the kind of the Camelot on the hill, the beacon or whatever, we should be trying to strive for that, for the best situation for our population, for the citizens of our country. Those kind of things only are a net good for our country as a whole in terms of productivity and opportunity. And that's why things like education are important. That's why things like, I think, healthcare is important. Honestly, it is. You want a healthy, educated populace, in my opinion. And these are long-term goals. I don't know if I've ever heard I just
don't even, but like, this is the problem though, how under or like what is really affecting the health of our people? Is it the lack of insurance, or is it the lack of access to good education?
Oh, there's a lot of stuff,
Or
right? No,
or
it's
good or healthy food that is affordable.
100%.
You know,
There's
like
so many factors.
yes, and that's really the problem that I have with, like, when I talk to most people. It's like, well, we're talking about one tidbit of it. Like, if people took a more proactive approach to their personal health, and it's Jordan Peterson did a really good, he stated it pretty well, but basically you won't take care of yourself better than you'll take care of somebody you love, somebody you care for, you know. So, like,
Yeah.
you should love yourself, take care of yourself, try to treat yourself, treat yourself, as Aziz Ansari would say from Parks and Rec. Like, you got to treat yourself right. But if you're not treating yourself right, like, how can it be then up to the state to take care of you? And I
Well,
think that's a fair argument
no, there.
from the other side.
I think of course, there's an element of personal responsibility, right? Like, this is something that I don't understand why it's not addressed. It's a philosophical question. It's about, like, what you do to yourself and, like, what that means about the culture and society you live in, and what do they owe you, or do they owe you anything? And, I don't have the perfect answer for that, obviously. I don't think anybody really does. Um, but I do think, like, on a long enough timeline, just with, like, technology and the opportunities that will arise, like, there may come a time where those things do kind of even out in terms of care and personal responsibility. Maybe we get to a point where that doesn't matter. Maybe that's something that automation will actually be good for. We could have robot doctors.
Well, I
we
mean, I
got
think
we got fuck bots. Fuck
it
bots
just
got to become first.
it
Though.
just I
Fuck
think I
bots got to
think
come first, and then Doctor
well,
robots.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I gotta come before I feel better. And
Well, that's the
just the way
first
it is.
start. That's the first
Yeah,
start.
yeah. It's
Gotta
like
help.
Patch Adams, but Snatch Adams, dude. There it is. Another skit out there for somebody, Snatch Adams. But I think it comes down to, well, who bears more responsibility for the health of a nation, the state or the individual? And I think it's obviously a partnership, very very much so. But we can't take the individual out of the equation. It just goes down to even, like, the argument of the imprisoned African American population that in the United States that is very high, and it's unfortunate, and it was the drug war. Well,
Or the crime bill. I mean, there's lots of things that suddenly.
well, I understand it. I understand the crime bill, but what I'm trying to say is, like, these were. I mean, you knew in your community. Like, if you're in a community, you know your threats to your community for the most part, which is what the African American community argues by saying, "Well, we have to have the talk," right? Because they
Yeah.
view the police as, like, a threat to them. Like, if everybody in those communities know, if you drug traffic or you partake in drugs, you have a high likelihood of going to jail, because that's what they were like. These weren't mysteries. These weren't things that people didn't realize was happening in their communities that affected them in a negative way. So it's like, so who bears more responsibility? I guess the shitty laws that were written, absolutely, they do bear some, but those individuals have still knowingly partook in an illegal activity that obviously,
Well, this is where it
you know
comes
what
in,
I mean?
but this is when it comes into, like, we're trying to build a culture and a society in the Western world where people are better educated, where people eat
Right.
better. Like, all these things that you brought up before, like, those are things that would help those communities, or communities like myself, like, I'm part of those kind of communities, like, help people a lot. And I think you would see, like, a natural decline in those things. I mean, as we
Yes.
become more prosperous and
And
more access to things, like, those things have changed. It just hasn't happened at the rate I guess people would like to. And then this is what happens when you get activist lobbyist groups involved in government. They want you to just, like, do it by decree. And you're like, well, if you do it by decree, people are going to lash out. People are going to act out against it because they're going to feel like they're being attacked or whatever. Everything is about small incremental change. Unfortunately, like, however unfortunate that is the reality. But you know what, though? Even though it's incremental change, with every passing year, it gets faster and faster and faster
well,
because of technology, because of how prosperous we are, because of our position in the world. Like, it actually does get faster, you know? I mean, we went from slavery for a couple hundred years to the civil rights movement in the 60s, and look how much has changed since then. And only like the 50 years since then. I mean, I think just the proof is there if people would take the time to like be historical about it and like look at the trajectory of things and what's actually going on in the world. It's probably more in line. It's actually probably trending to do better than it should based on history.
I agree.
I don't know.
I think it's more relevant to sit there and state, well, I mean, we all want well, I guess you could kind of look at it like, when you have an insurmountable and a lot of work in front of you. I don't want to. I'm a little tired. Yeah, a lot of work in front of you, and it feels overwhelming. But what do? You break it down. You do the little thing first, and you attack that, and then you do the next thing, and then after a couple hours, it's gone. It's done. It wasn't that bad. You just had to focus on the smaller things, and I think somebody just wants to come in and burn it to the ground, start over, instead of actually just chipping away at certain issues that we do have in society. And that's been pretty much the progressive approach, at least as we've seen, both literally and figuratively.
Which is not abnormal. I mean, if you go look at societies throughout history, you're going to find these kind of things. The fact of the matter is, though, like at some point, you got to try to learn from those things. You got to try to learn from that history and not just embrace it because it feels good in the moment. Like this is the problem with ahistorical attitudes, like people not knowing the history of our civilization.
I mean, you can look at Trump as a prime example of someone who shook up the system, caused radical change for the establishment, and is having a seizure. And this is why I guess you could say, if you're looking for the quote unquote revolution, Trump would be the person that started it. Like, and I mean in a positive way, like someone who caused radical change. No one trusts the media anymore. A lot of people don't. They see the game that is being played. They see Twitter, like Twitter exposed their hand. All these people are like,
I mean, just in the past few weeks, it has been insane.
Well, I mean, I think it's been this way for years.
No, but
I think it's even more blatant.
Dude, it was so blatant the last couple of weeks. They just don't even give a fuck anymore. It's just like the editor of NPR this morning saying like, we're not going to cover this Hunter Biden laptop. Like so arrogant and such a disservice. And the facade that like, if this was somebody else, if this was Don Jr., like we would be like, oh no, it's not that's a family matter. It's none of our business. Like that, you're out of your fucking mind. Even if Don Jr. was not using his family name as leverage to get money from foreign nations for access privileges, as what it seems like they're implying, even if he was just a meth head, like it would be the #1 story for a month.
Oh my God. It would be everything we would hear about but this is the problem. We know that.
No, like, I know.
And what I mean, like, I think the general American people know that there is, like, whether you're left, right, in the middle, there is a general disdain from the media.
Yeah, but but don't you think that this is like for lack of a better way to put it, it's kind of almost like a red pill moment for centrists, right? For people that are a little bit more cautious, they kind of look at things, try to a little bit more like objectively and just be like, well, no, because people get tribal and they run away with shit that's not true or overreact. And like, that does happen. And it happens a lot. But I think this was so egregious, like the past few months, especially, Biden with all of his lid days and
he just had 4 days of lid.
As soon as that New York, what is
Post.
it? New York Post story broke, he fucking called the lid until the debate. Yeah. That's unacceptable. That would be unacceptable by any other standard. If that was anybody else, it would be unacceptable. They have not given a real interview in months.
And then they had Trump released. I haven't found the whole thing. I watched the 10-minute thing and it didn't end. Like there was no more of the interview. So I don't know how long it was supposed to be. I think it was 45 minutes of 60 minutes, but there needs to be transparency between the media and or I wouldn't even say the establishment and the government.
Oh, I mean, that's what I mean. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying there needs to be transparency. There needs to be, try to be unbiased. And if you're an opinion show, that's fine. Like Stephen Colbert and everything. Like, that's whatever. That's your opinion. But as far as like the news, why do we have all these commentators that are so biased, and it's so obvious? Like when Brian Stelter got called the hell out by some woman, I don't know her name.
Oh yeah, she works for the Washington Examiner.
Like literally was like, what the hell are you talking about? You guys,
she seemed like she's a cool, tough lady because she's like, I've been doing this for 30 years. You can say whatever you want. It's my opinion, Brian.
Yeah. And he's like, don't you dare say that we.
I know. Yeah, where's all the mansplaining critiques? Where's all the screaming about what he's literally waving his finger like this at the camera at her? Don't you dare! You're like, what? Who the fuck are you? You an alien?
I thought Brian Stelter was gay.
No, he's got a kid. He's
gay people can have kids.
Why would he be gay?
Oh, he just puts off those vibes,
Maybe he's like, people go listen to our.
You don't see that. You can't see that. You can't see him being gay.
Not really, no.
See him putting like a pink fucking.
If he was gay, I feel like he would just be gay.
Like a pink polo with popped collar.
It's fucking 20. Well, that's just go to any Southern college and go to a frat party.
But that look, right?
Those thirsty looks,
Have you ever seen the movie The Birdcage with Robin Williams?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like that, kind of frilly, but they're men.
He'd be like Nathan Lane. Is that what you're saying? He reminds you of Nathan Lane in The Birdcage?
Yeah, just like, but he's a man when he has to be. But
Dan's Gene Hackman.
I would be Gene. I hate him. No, I'm kidding. That's a great movie though. I don't know. Brian Stelter is just a gross. He's gross to me. But this is the thing. In the mainstream media, there's only one guy, and we all know his name. Sean Hannity. No, Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker Carlson's I think he's the fairest. He will call out both left and right. I mean, obviously the left.
No, I do think he's the fairest in a certain sense, right? I do. But I know when he's playing games. He does play games sometimes.
What games?
And that's fine. But
what game? Red Dead Redemption 2? Cyberpunk? You got the release?
I remember of like a specific time where you're like,
oh, okay. Like, well, I think the one he did the other night on Chris Cuomo, but it's true though. Like he's sitting there, he goes like, dude, we had like you had COVID, like outside of your house, quote unquote, had COVID, no mask.
Oh, he had it. Yeah, he just got caught. The biker, is it?
And the bicyclist dude, and it's like, dude, what the fuck? Who are you? What is going on? These people are so fake, and the media is so savvy. And another thing. So everyone's talking about, like the left wing was very suspicious of intelligence agencies for like a long time. Like the left wing was always a little suspicious. They didn't really take him at face value. And now there's like 50 ex-intelligence agency guys coming out and saying that this Biden emails are definitely Russia disinformation.
Yeah, and then like people that are actually working in intelligence say that it's not. So who do you trust now? Like, are they saints? Are they sinners? Like, what's going on? What the fuck is going on here?
Like
people like so if the guy that's like the head of the investigation looking into this stuff comes out and said definitely not Russian disinformation, so we don't believe these people anymore.
Yeah, but
is that what it is now? It's just a game, dude. It's not fucking real.
Like honestly, get rid of the FBI.
Get rid of them all.
Get rid of them all. I don't know because obviously like they've been hiding information. They've been not being
transparent. They're sketchy. They've always have been. That was like literally their function. They're created to be sketchy.
Oh, and I can't believe the moderator when she let Biden get away, and the same thing with this Lindsay Stahl lady from 60 Minutes. He's like, they spied on my campaign. They did spy on his campaign.
And she just let Joe Biden anytime completely untrue. Oh, okay, moving on. Like that was how she treated Joe Biden. And that's because she was even keeled, never got flustered, and part of that was the format. Part of that was the fact that they actually pretty much respected the rules, both Trump and Biden. And that actually, I think, really helped Trump.
I think they only touched the mic once on him.
I was because he went too long on the healthcare thing.
Yeah.
But this is the most focused, like laser sharp I have seen Trump in a long time. And as I've said before on a regular podcast and just conversations, like this is what he needs to be. If he was like this, because he still got to be himself, kind of sardonic, a little loose, but still fucking focused.
But he is that way most of the time.
Not like that. Like he was.
Yes, he is.
He was prepared. He came like an attack dog. He let Joe Biden walk into the Hunter email shit. Like some beautiful moments.
Okay. That is true. But the first debate was rocky for everybody. Chris Wallace wasn't a very good moderator, and then they didn't have the second one.
I think everybody played a part in the first
one. Honestly, Chris Wallace was he was so apparent that he's a cuck for Joe. Like, he wants a cup of Joe.
Because he's a Hollywood journalist now.
Dude.
As soon as, what is it, fucking Stephen Colbert had him on and, chastised him about his commentary during the Mueller hearings.
Mm-hmm.
Chastised him. He's like, it was 17 minutes into the hearing, and you said Mueller was not looking good. Why? Why would you do that? 17 minutes in, don't you? That's a late night host talking to a journalist.
He's not a journalist.
Well, he's kind of Chris Wallace. You consider
listen,
Chris Wallace.
Because you're on TV, is Tucker Carlson a journalist? No.
To some capacity, if he reports the news, Dan.
That's not a journalist, though. That's a fucking media.
It is.
That's but hold on.
No, there's pundits and there's journalists.
Okay, so he's not a pundit. Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace is a little bit more of a journalist than a pundit.
I don't.
Of journalism. I mean, you're interviewing, these very powerful people. You got to do your homework. You got to look in. You got to have the right questions.
Oh my god, dude!
No, but that's truth, Dan.
Dude, Shaun, that's not a journalist, dude. That's called that's a goddamn interviewer. You ain't no journalist.
You're Joe Rogan at that point, basically.
Yeah, basically.
No, they come a little more prepared than Joseph Rogan.
No, I mean, hey, Joe Rogan knows what the fuck he's talking about a lot. Dude, I don't know, I like it, but there's
no, I like him too, but I think that is a function of a journalist. Is okay, I get to interview the president, I get to interview the senator. This thing is going on in the world. I am prepared for it. Let's get information to the people.
Yeah.
The function of the media and journalists and news is supposed to inform the populace so that we can make educated decisions about our democracy. They have fucking failed for a long time at that. Maybe for 25, 30 years they've failed at that. And never so much so as now, though, because they have a personal animus against who is president. It hurts their egos.
Well, I think Tim Pool said it pretty good. He goes, they feel guilty about talking all about the Hillary Clinton stuff before the election and
that's why nobody
and all these guys.
That's why nobody will talk about it.
I know, but there has to be some how can them not talking about it? Is that not making more people frustrated and saying, because this is a big story. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, but we're plugged in, Dan. A lot of people, if they don't hear it on the news, they don't ever know about it.
Yeah, but I think through Facebook,
not with any
spread of Facebook.
Yeah, what does Facebook do?
I know. You're right. They are suppressing certain things, but did you not see that Josh Hawley? They got the votes.
No. I don't care who it is. Somebody's going to bring these fucking people in.
No, they got it.
This could have been
happening.
No, I know. I don't. But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't care if it was Democrats or Republicans. Yeah. You got to get somebody fucking in there to answer for this weird social constructionism that they're engaging in.
Yeah.
And then this desire to choose what is and what isn't and who's allowed to be there and who's not allowed to be there. If these companies just can't stick to the basic laws that we already have on the books, we can't.
Do you know what I miss, dude? I miss back in the day when you go to Pornhub and it has no algorithm and you just start out the top. Now it's got all these suggested videos, all these things that I might like. I do like them, but how am I supposed to
get out? Yeah.
How am I supposed to find new things, more depraved things, maybe less depraved? I got into tantric hand jobs recently, which pretty cool, Pretty cool. I'm looking into getting one.
It's an ancient art, and those people are beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go back a little bit to the debate. The debate.
The master debates.
I think it was me personally. I think it's the best Trump has presented himself in a long time.
You don't watch those fucking rallies, huh?
I don't watch. Well, this is not rally mode. This is communicator mode. Like, he was succinct, made his points. I think he got a lot of hits on Biden that are going to be obfuscated by the fact that the moderator did not do anything and allowed Joe to literally chuckle and not answer questions. Not even because Joe Biden is smart enough. Joe Biden knows he needs to keep his fucking mouth shut. And then there was one moment where the email stuff got brought up again. Joe Biden almost said that Rudy Giuliani is working with the Russians, which is something that's legally actionable, because it would be like accusing somebody of treason. He almost did it, and the moderator stopped him because she knew. Because Joe didn't have a good answer for any of that shit. He didn't even answer any of it. He didn't say a fucking word about it.
I thought he did say that.
Disinformation, probably a Russian plot.
These are Russia. The classic line. This is a smear.
What are we smear on my bagel?
What are we doing? Playing smear to queer? I don't know, man. I thought Joe did not well. I don't think he did well. I don't think, but like, this is the thing. The bar is so low for Joe. It's like he's there, he's breathing. He responded, and he reverted back to his old politician. I thought Trump did good. I wouldn't say great, but I think he did good. I think he was poised. I think he was, like you said, sharp. I think he will take home the gauntlet this time for this one for sure.
And Biden was visibly fading as it went on. He would get lost.
I just hate when he gets those starry-eyed look.
Well, because he's literally, I swear to God, he's literally trying to remember the script. It's like some people have visual memory.
Yeah.
And when they think of things, they actually like pretend like they're looking at the piece of paper that they memorized something off. Because I mean, most of his stuff was so stock and so whatever. You're just like, okay.
Well, this is the problem with this platform. This is the problem with this platform that I hate. And I think honestly, I do believe watching this stuff on television are 55 and up. If that. And you might even go 60 and up. I don't think anybody who's under the age of 50 is watching this on television for the most part.
I think you'd be surprised.
I mean like on cable. Like, I'm not saying not on YouTube, but I mean, how many people actually? Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I literally. Well, then again, I guess our mother, she does have cable.
I mean, yeah, but all these things have like apps as well. So like, you can get the CNN Go app, like if you have cable. Like, so people do it on all sorts of different devices nowadays, but they are still getting their media, I think, mostly from the major ones. And lately, the past couple months, the ratings have been through the roof for a lot of late night news, like CNN, MSNBC. Like Rachel Maddow's kind of back. What's his name?
Yeah,
Cooper's back.
No one's competing with fucking Tuck.
Dude, they're only like
2 million away.
1 million, 2 million away.
Shaun,
that's a far cry from what they were like 6 months ago.
Yeah, but that's still huge. That's a huge difference. It's a huge gap to overcome.
That's because, Tuck's always got that inquisitive look on us.
Dude, he knows what's up, dude. Tuck, you can't cut the Tuck thing.
I've seen.
Oh, here we go. Yahoo News fact-checking final debate right out of it. Shut up, you fucking losers. Sick of your lies.
Nerds.
Yeah, and like, I really, like, everyone's just blasting Biden right now online for the coal, for the oil industry and the fracking and like.
Yeah, because he didn't have a good answer because he fucked up.
Well, because he lied.
No, well, he just fucked up in the past when he was running his primary campaign. He fucked up.
I think the Los Angeles Times says about some of this shit. Let's see. I want to see if they even fact. Okay. Okay, so basically they said he's wrong on COVID. That's no big surprise.
Where was the follow-up questions for Biden when he's like, I'm going to make everybody wear a mask all the time, forever? Where was everybody when he's just like, he doesn't have, like, Trump would literally like lay out what he wanted to do, And you can disagree with those things. That's fine. But Biden would be like, that's not true. He doesn't have a plan.
I know, dude.
With no challenge. And you're like, okay, like everything that they say they would do, like Trump is doing, like him or not. Like, it's not Trump's decision how this goes ultimately. Like,
oh, yeah.
And to suggest that he's not like paying attention to like his advisors and shit. Like, come on, dude. I think Trump knows he's not a infectious disease expert.
I can't so they've corrected Biden once so far.
What, the fracking thing?
No, they stood up on him. They said Trump lied. Biden's comments about fracking have varied some in a debate during the Democrat, which is tonight. Biden suggested he'd permit existing fracking projects, but would allow no new fracking. His campaign later said he meant no new fracking on federal land.
Yeah, his campaign went and cleaned it up.
Yeah. I am not banning fracking. But this is all in the recent days. It just seems ridiculous.
I know. No, that's the thing. It's like with this Hunter Biden thing. You know what his campaign said that invalidated the story? So well, Twitter, because of what Twitter did, they're like, well, that means it's not true. That's literally what their people from his campaign said on the news. Because Biden was unavailable for comment.
Dude, so it says no, Trump hasn't been the second best president for black people, right? Saying it doesn't make it so. The president says this often bases his claims on the low pre-pandemic unemployment rates, as well as signing of prison sentencing reform legislation, obscure long-term funding for starting Black College University. But the decline in joblessness among black people in Trump's first years continued a years-long trend begun. So here we go. See, they're trying to. So this really goes back to Obama. A long begun trending during the Obama administration. The sentencing reform also took shape in that time, but were blocked by Senate Republicans until Trump took office. No citing of a bill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. More to point, Trump claim ignores gains for black citizens made under previous president Lyndon B. Johnson. And then, dude, they're literally doing the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Act from 64, 65, saying that, I mean, come on, people. So he's not lying. It's not a fact check. That's your opinion on what's more important. And then you're trying to connect something to a trend from Obama. Well, what's the data? What was show me they had 8 years. What are you talking about? Whatever. Yeah, okay. It's calling out Trump saying tiny windows in buildings, whatever.
But they latch onto these kind of dumb throwaway things, and obviously,
So it says no, there isn't proof that the laptop is Russian disinformation. That's good. At least they fact check Biden on this one.
What?
They said no, there isn't proof that the laptop is Russian disinformation.
Yeah, and the moderator knows that, and she let it go unchallenged.
Yeah, it's true that the U.S. intelligence officials say Russia is again interfering in the U.S. presidential campaign, this time by pushing false narrative that Biden is tied to corruption in Ukraine through his son's former role in the board of... Wait, what? Oh, let me read this out. To corruption in Ukraine through his son's former role of the board of Burisma, a natural gas company there, but it's not clear that Russia's behind the emails, texts, and photos that Rudy Giuliani, the president's lawyer, has been promoting. Giuliani said he received copies from a Delaware computer repair shop.
Yeah. Which I am very... It's very suspicious with the origins of that thing.
The way they frame this is absolutely atrocious, because they frame it by setting up that intelligence agencies do say that Russia is interfering. And then they go right into saying that it's not clear that Russia is behind. So it's
Well, they are interfering the same way that Iran, Saudi Arabia, by doing these email campaigns. They found that proof that these Iranian people or some people from Iran or somebody in Iran are using an IP address in Iran, I guess, sending fake emails threatening Democrats as Proud Boys, trying to do voter intimidation and claiming they were part of the Proud Boys.
Oh, they released the full video of Giuliani.
Well, the movie's out. The movie's out now.
Well, Shaun,
you can go watch.
I'm
You
not
can go watch Borat 2.
I'm not watching it now,
Oh,
but
I'm gonna watch it for
so
sure.
what did they show him? It shows him. It just shows him he goes sits down,
Yeah,
taking the thing off. He smacks her. He kind of does a little light tap, love tap on her, not a tuchus, but on her rib section.
okay.
There he is. He's pushing in his
Well,
shirt.
so some hot chick that you think is a reporter.
Oh, and dude, he's already off the bed by this because they were making it seem like. But anyway,
No, that's what I'm saying. It was, dude, they took a picture and they literally just,
yeah,
oh, look at this. That's
yeah,
all. That's all it was. And everybody, because people had seen this movie months ago, Dan.
yeah.
Like, and it never leaked because it's just not that big of a deal. That's the I mean, Giuliani. I don't know why. Like, he's, he plays fast and loose.
He puts off those vibes. But dude, he's a New York guy. Took down the mob. You know he's a gangster. Like that shit. That dude knows what's up. I really do think Rudy Giuliani would probably fuck a 15-year-old. But
well, no, I think he'd fuck a 24-year-old.
oh, absolutely. I don't know about
100%. Like, so if you had some chick and like invites you to up to her room, acting like she's coming on to you, you think she's an adult. Like, granted, maybe there's moral things. I don't know if he's married. I have no idea. But like, then okay, who cares? It's only the fact that like Sacha Baron Cohen like runs in and frames it as like, oh, she's 15. Like, that's the only thing that makes it negative. And that people act like this is not an edited film made to make him look as bad as possible.
well, I guess you could say that's what they're saying about Project Veritas.
This is me saying, I'm not saying, well, a lot of people compare James O'Keefe to Sacha Baron Cohen, actually. But I'm not saying this as somebody that's like loves Rudy Giuliani. I can give a fuck. I'm just saying that's just what a movie is. That's what comedy is. Like, you're not going to put out something you think is boring. That's like when the first Borat came out. Or not Borat. Was it Bruno that had Ron Paul in it? Is it Bruno? Or is it
Yeah,
Borat?
it was Bruno. It was Bruno.
Okay. They did that to like 5 other senators. They did that to like...
He called him a fairy.
Oh, he said that guy is queerer than a $3 bill. Queerer than Blazes. Yeah. Oh, queer as the Blazes. And he tried to fucking come on to him. So and obviously Ron Paul is a straight old man. And he's just
good, and an American.
So he leaves. But they did that to a bunch of people.
I'm going to tell you right now.
No, but they did that to like 5 political people.
Shaun, if they would have done that to Brian Stelter, it would have went all the way. I'll put money on it.
Brian Stelter would have been inside Bruno deleted scenes.
Yes. Paula Abdul as well.
No, it's like, well, Sacha Baron Cohen's interesting because now he's decided he wanted to get very serious now over the past couple of years. But even I don't even think he understands his own comedy sometimes. I just don't. I think sometimes he makes people seem very tolerant and patient with like an absurd asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go watch Borat, most of the people that Borat interacts with are perfectly polite and pleasant. And Sacha Baron Cohen apparently thinks he's like exposing people, but he's really not. Like he's exposing the fact that like people will want other people to like them and they want to be nice to foreigners. Even if, because they make exception for the fact like, oh, Borat says all this crazy, wild, misogynistic, politically incorrect stuff. And they're like, well, hey man, you're not from here. You don't understand how we do things. Let me tell you. Like, that's most of the interactions that Borat has.
Yeah, and then like when he goes to the bull show, whatever.
Yeah, you're always going to be able to find.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The thing is, like, he was direct, searching out for it, sure, but those guys didn't like kick his ass. Like, if you kiss me, I'll fuck you up. Like, don't touch me.
The thing that a lot of people point to is the National Anthem thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, dude, go to any other country and go to their poor communities where there's supposed to be a national anthem playing and go make a farce of it.
Yeah.
And see if you get booed. You'd probably do that anywhere literally in the fucking world.
Except in the United States right now, because they would probably laugh because they hate America.
Well, now they know who Borat is.
Yeah. I
I'll definitely gonna check it out. It's free on Amazon Prime. It's out actually now. It dropped at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I'll check it out tomorrow or something.
Because I recently rewatched the first one because that's also on Amazon Prime. Because when I saw the second one was coming out, and it's very entertaining. Like it is what it is, but it'll make you laugh. So I'm curious about Borat 2 just because I know it's more politically motivated. Even coming out when it comes out is to be politically motivated. Seems like it has a little bit more of a punching down quality to it, where they're trying to expose the bigotry of.
Like, how could you, Sacha Baron Cohen? How can he go make Borat, where he literally like objectifies black people? Does
Because
like
that's the character, and what you do is then you do that, and then you see how people react to it. Like
no,
the joke
Shaun,
is
I understand, but then he's gonna come out and do this woke fucking bullshit.
Well, because Dan, he's not. Well, in fairness to him,
we haven't seen it.
No, what I'm saying is Sacha Baron Cohen's characters are not presenting as the person you're supposed to sympathize with.
I know that.
You're not supposed to identify with Borat's point of view. So,
no, I get that, but as him as like an artist who is sitting here going to be, trying to use this as a political narrative and a tool, it's like, well, you're the dude, the Caucasian dude who's going around acting like and like being misogynistic, like whether it's through a character or not. People criticize Robert Downey Jr. and criticize other people for doing similar things. You can't take down Robert Downey Jr. You can't take down RDJ.
Oh, they tried to, but everybody likes Robert Downey Jr., so they're willing to be like, listen, dude, it's a fucking movie. Which is the correct response. It's a character. The entire point of the character is to make fun of somebody that would do blackface.
Agreed.
That's the whole point. That's the joke.
Right.
They make that joke 1,000 times in that movie. It's not unclear to anybody with half the fucking brain.
Them collard greens. It's a great movie, dude.
My favorite joke is the actual black guy who's like, oh man, it's hot out here in this jungle. Good thing I brought my booty sweat. And it's like his sponsored energy drink.
Yeah.
He tries to put in his Vietnam movie.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Great movie. I don't know. So final thoughts on the debate.
I thought it was fun. I actually kind of didn't mind watching it, and I thought Trump acquitted himself pretty well, or acquitted himself pretty well rather. I thought he did as good of a job as I could have hoped him to do, I suppose, because I really dislike Joe Biden. I think he is the thing. He is establishment politician that I have
he's the swamp thing.
I have a strong disdain for. Like, you got to look at me with a straight face and like say you're gonna run against yourself, basically. Like that, you're at 80 years old. Go fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Like, it's such trash. Guy does not believe anything. He just does things based on political expediency in the same way that Hillary Clinton did. His ideas and his opinions about things just change with however the fucking wind is blowing. It's not productive to actually moving forward as a society. And I am all for the thing that will kick the ball a little bit further down the road. That's how I feel.
All I know is that the debate was fun, annoying, and if we take the White House, the Senate, and the House, I believe there's going to be reform on 230. I believe there are going to be public utilities or some sort of public thing where it's going to be subsidized, or antitrust lawsuit that just got brought up from DOJ. I'm excited to see what happens there. And Trump 2020, dude, we're a week and a half out, 10 days almost.
It's crazy that it's that soon.
Thank God, dude. We've been in a pandemic since fucking March.
I know. I can't wait to have something else to talk about. It's gonna be crazy.
Dude, honestly, I am done. I am done right now. I just want it to be
if you guys if you're watching this, if this is your introduction to Zoobox, we do a lot of dick and fart jokes normally, but
I mean, it's been more than years.
It's been more serious for the past few months. But the past few episodes, we kind of just did more dick and fart jokes, and we had a pretty good time. So
I just don't want to live this life anymore, guys.
It's too stressful.
I just want to be disabled and live my life. Or no, differently abled. I'm differently abled. I have radiculopathy, left and right. Lower extremity radiculopathy. It's very serious.
Radiculopathy.
This is why I'm laying on this bed. right now.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook.
That was my ass. That was my ass.
Dan's ass is also in the description.
My mic stinks.
Yeah, but let us know in the comments. What did you think of the debate? Who do you think won? Any and all comments will be read and listened to. I try to respond to things as best as I can, but, you know, I get busy. So, anyways, adieu. That's French for goodbye.